Good afternoon. It's a Greek Sunday in Glasgow, but it's quite a calm day. Well, I feel calm. It's nice. Nice, wee, relaxing sort of day off. Um, Bought something the other day. I was in CX, obviously, and there's a bunch of Game Boy Advance games that have evidently or apparently been traded in by the same person. So, cut to the chase. Megaman, Battle Network 3. The Battle Network games are kind of they're kind of a semi-action RPG sub-series of the Mega Man games. Kind of, as I remember, as I remember, because I've not played this in a while, or one of these games, it's kind of a top-down, like isometric type view, like moving around, RPG-ish, that kind of thing, and not random battles, but kind of overworld encounter, like, things moving about and you crash into them and triggers a battle, like maybe Chrono Trigger or Mario and Luigi games. I think maybe it's random, but random encounters, and then it goes to a kind of grid view, a 3x3, two 3x3 grids, I think, and you move around it in real time. And your moves are your available abilities are determined by drawing cards from a deck before. So I've never really played much of these card-based RPGs. In fact, I can't think of another one I've played other than the Pokemon trading card Game Boy game. I kind of imagined they were all either turn-based RPGs with the card kind of collecting and ability determining element, or they were basically video game versions of a card game that you might actually play with actual cards. This is neither of them really, so it's kind of faintly actiony RPG thing. I think that the whole idea of it is there's like a real world and a digital world, that your main character in the digital world, he's Mega Man, that's kind of his like avatar or something. Can't really remember, but so all the battle takes place in the digital world, which is basically it's like the internet, but it's kind of a world inside, computers. Does that make sense? And everything is kind of a computer. You can kind of, what do they call it, jacking in, which is quite funny. When you kind of log into the network via an object, and they are kind of enclosed in objects. It's not like a kind of worldwide network. I think they're kind of exclusive to these areas. So anyway, so it's an RPG game, and I don't remember when I bought this, or I think it was new, Mega Man Battle Network 3. This is the one that I bought first, and there were, I don't know what made me want to buy it. I'd probably played a handful of Mega Man games, probably on emulators, to be honest. And I don't know if I knew what it was, but I probably just thought it looked cool, which is unlike me. I think I feel like I was pretty stuck in buying like games from recognizable series, but I bought this, I think, when it was new, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And I remember, well, I was waiting for 4 to come out. I heard that Battle Network 4 was coming out, and I went on the day it was supposed to come out to like a bunch of shops in Edinburgh, and this is bloody years ago. I remember being really surprised at the time and disappointed that it wasn't out on the day I heard it was going to be released, and it's hardly like a major title. So it kind of isn't surprising now. But I remember going back like kind of day after day, being like, "Have you got it yet?" Because I heard it was being released today, and I don't know whether it was just like the wrong release date in the magazine that I was reading at the time, which is kind of hilariously unreliable way to get up to date information like a release date when that could change at any moment. But I don't remember when I did play Battle Network 4, but it was quite a while later. Maybe it wasn't that long later. Maybe I did. I think it's possible I bought it new. I think it's probable I bought it new. But when I did get around to playing it, or maybe it was Battle Network 5 if such a game exists, when I did get around to playing a subsequent Battle Network game, I found it got really tedious and really boring, and the in the way that I possibly described before, playing the DS, the first DS Mario and Luigi game, and which actually turned out to be my experience of returning to the original Mario and Luigi game. It was just kind of like thing after thing after thing with no break, and it was all like the kind of pattern of gameplay and exploration, and the pattern of the adventure itself was very repetitive. And I remember kind of describing it to my friend and kind of joking about it being like, you just log into like object after object, like there's a virus in the toaster, go in and clean the virus by kind of beating this boss. It was just a bit silly. And maybe on returning to it, this will actually turn out to be just as ridiculous and stupid and repetitive. But I enjoyed this more when I played it than I enjoyed Battle Network 4. So there were a bunch of Mega Man games when I went in, and I went in again today, just passing by, and they were all pretty much sold, which is kind of a shame because I might have bought one or two others. There was Mega Man Battle Network 1, which is actually still there. There was, I think, a Battle Network 2, which I've seen in there before, and I might have bought because I hadn't necessarily remembered that it was Battle Network 3 I originally owned. So I would have bought that before had I not realised that 2 was not the one I had. And the reason I realised that was because the one I had came in 2 versions, blue and white. And actually, now I think about it, I think it was white I had. I can't remember. There's almost nothing to distinguish the two of them. I think there's 1, maybe 2 unique cards that you can only get in one game or the other. So a little bit, I would say it's fair to say it's a bit more of a cynical sell more games type thing than Pokemon. You can link them up. I think you can do a versus thing on them. Anyway, there was a Battle Network 4 in a box, Red Sun, and there was Mega Man and Bass, or Bass, however you pronounce that. Another Game Boy Advance game, all Game Boy Advance games. And I would have been interested to get Mega Man and Bass, or is it versus Bass? I don't know really. I don't know whether they're supposed to be really very good, but I remember playing it on an emulator. I was playing a lot of Game Boy Advance games on emulators at the time the Game Boy Advance was out, which I kind of took for granted at the time, but it's really, I don't think it's necessarily immoral or anything, but it's pretty ridiculously like privileged. I mean, I just mean that in the sense of like, it's a bit hard to imagine how easy that was to do. Just get games for free, and as long as you didn't mind playing them in that slightly unusual way on a computer screen. It was the same. I remember them running perfectly. And I think for some reason I associate this Megaman Bass game with I don't know. It's when I had forgotten it existed until I saw it in the shop the other day, and I don't know. It kind of it reminded me very strongly of playing games on emulators in general at that time. Um, it kind of typified for me a game that I would not have bought, but probably played quite a bit on an emulator. Not seriously, but I think I started it up a few times. There was maybe a couple of Mega Man versus Bass games that I think I played a little bit of each of them. Um, and I think I was using a keyboard, so not really well suited to playing an actiony game for me. So I didn't go very far with them, but I would have been interested to. Again, it's about the revisiting, but kind of in a new way in this instance. But yeah, Battle Network 3 game I used to enjoy. I had to remind myself when I got to the counter to like actually scrutinize this and look that it wasn't in horrible condition. Not that it's valuable. I paid £6 for this, and that's mainly what determined the getting this over, say, Mega Man vs. Bass. Because it's the game I played and it was of more interest to me, but also because it was so little money. I'm a little bit more wary of prices in CEX. I know that when it comes to valuable things, I think I read on Reddit very briefly the other day that Reddit's not a place I go. I'll tell you why I was on it, but they match eBay prices. I'd heard they match Amazon prices, but if it's eBay prices, then I don't know how carefully they do that. So it's possible that they're matching. I don't know, buy it now or like, I don't know. They're matching some price that is more than you might spend on it. I can't think how that would work actually. I might be talking rubbish, but I saw a Reddit post because they actually have in the shop at the moment a GameCube game called Frogger Beyond, which is £130, which is quite funny because if it weren't £130, I would look at it there and I would maybe not even see it. It's just one of those GameCube era titles that it just seems like a really crap kind of latter day 3D platformer that no one would ordinarily care about. And it's pretty grotesque that people care about it purely because, well, not only because it's valuable, but because it's valuable because people want to have the whole collection and people will buy a game merely to have it in their collection and to complete their collection. Yeah, and it inspires curiosity when you see a game that would ordinarily not intrigue you in the slightest. You just think, yeah, C-list kind of 3D platformer from the early to mid 2000s. But I looked it up and I was like, why is this game so expensive? And of course the answer is just because rarity. There's nothing special about it. But yeah, on that, I think people were saying, it's more expensive at CEX for this reason, and supposedly that was because of how they match their prices quite carelessly. I think they pretty much just look it up and undercut that price a little bit. I thought it was Amazon. Apparently it's eBay. Anyway, so I kind of knowingly made an exception with price checking for something expensive or valuable. I say exception, it was the first time I did it, but I knew I wouldn't act so carelessly or spontaneously in other examples. I'm talking about when I bought Tombi. I enjoyed finding it and the thrill of going and buying it. I thought that looking up the price elsewhere would ruin that, but And I don't know if I got ripped off. I don't want to know right now. But I suppose the point I'm trying to make rather um, meanderingly is that if I was going to buy a valuable game, I would be careful before buying it from CEX, because I suppose the way they match prices probably tends towards them being overpriced more strongly in the case of more expensive games. And that's the story of why I bought this for £6. It's gone on for a while, and that'll do. Cheers.